lost and broke, I feel like we can't get anywhere. Enough to feel like leaving. Hopeless, but I know that this can't be everything. We don't need this heartache. We could break away if you really want to run. Hard to keep the pace when you're staring at the sun. Let's hide away from it, try to escape from it. Let's hide away if you really want to run. With you I see hope when before I didn't care. Now I know I need you. I need you. I need you. Now I know I need you. We could break away if you really want to run. Hard to keep the pace when you're staring at the sun. Let's hide away from it, try to escape from it. Let's hide away if you really want to run. Maybe it's freedom, a chance to keep breathing. Maybe we're lonely. Maybe it's freedom, a chance to keep breathing. Maybe we're lonely. Maybe it's freedom, a chance to keep breathing. Maybe we're lonely. Freedom, a chance to keep breathing. Maybe we're lonely. Maybe we could break away if you really want to run. Hard to keep the pace when you're staring at the sun. Let's hide away from it, try to escape from it. Hide away if you really want to run.
You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside... Oh, wait, I went to the wrong one. We're starting with somebody different.
Oh, this is messed up.
We just changed it.
I'm scared.
Who is that?
Klaus!
Oh, it's him!
And her evil bonnet's full of rabid rats. When she takes the bonnet off, the rats come out and eat the toes and fingers of the children.
He's messing with the wires. He's getting everything crossed. It went to Keith first this week, but
Klaus.
There he is. There's our normal new
host. Trying to foil the show.
Sean Sebastian, I think. I don't know.
That's right.
Nobody knows.
We're streaming
anymore.
to a bunch of different platforms tonight. We got some new ones out there. Shout out to all of our Periscope followers, listeners, Twitter. If you're on the Twitters. Looking at the old Periscope.
Facebook, YouTube, all of it.
We're all over the place.
We got full access now. Leave us a comment wherever you want.
Wherever you want.
Yes.
We're hopefully going to respond. Look, Jeff Morning, my brother's colleague, giving him a shout out because, he got on us last week.
Yeah.
He said, look,
he tweeted at
I want a
Called
little
us out.
something. I want a little something from Red Moon, some communication. Okay, we are a broadcasting company, media company. We need to communicate better. And I told him, I said, Jeff, Don't you worry. We got your back.
Don't you worry, Jeff.
So you tweet at us this week. You get on the Periscopes, the Googles. Well, not the Googles. The Googles doesn't have nothing. You can Google Red Moon Productions.
Google's useless.
Yeah. Who needs it?
Yeah, we have Bing now.
You know what's sad is
That we laughed 'cause we know
I saw
how
a
terrible.
meme that literally it said, you know you're useless when your number one searched item on Bing is Google. I mean, it's like that's pretty bad.
That's true.
But no, we got Sean over there trying to reply to all the comments.
I'm trying.
He's trying to keep
trying
up.
to keep up. And even if he can't,
I need 10. I need like
you need
10 hands.
Yeah, we got all the platforms going. But you know what? We also can reply to people individually, or we could just, you send us in the chat.
Or we might, if
we can reply on there.
Yeah,
we can talk about you on air.
If it's a compelling comment, we might mention it on the show.
And we got a lot to get into tonight.
I'm really excited about
some big news.
We had a lot of politics last week, unavoidable sometimes in the industry.
Yep.
This week, I feel like we have a lot of just more.
It's politics, but it's the internal Hollywood,
it's Hollywood politics.
Yeah.
And it's good stuff, good movies,
Oh,
interesting things.
Some good reviews coming. We got 2 reviews. Another Christmas review, another regular film review.
Yep.
Got some fantastic all-around news to get to, much better than what we had last week, I feel like.
I want to briefly, it's not in our headlines because it just kind of happened today, and it's not the biggest news, but I am kind of excited to learn that Alfred Molina is going to reprise Doc Ock in Spider-Man 3.
Doc Ock.
Yes.
Along with some other rumored...
Well, we already know that Jamie Foxx is going to be Electro, and then, of course, it's rumored that Andrew Garfield and
didn't care too much for him.
Oh,
Yeah.
what's I done drew a blank on poor Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah,
possibly coming back.
They won't confirm it, but it's heavily
coming.
rumored. I have
It's
a feeling
coming.
if you have Jamie Foxx and Alfred Molina, it's like they're doing a Spider-Verse movie.
Spider-Verse.
They won't confirm it, but it seems pretty
Which is
likely.
crazy, because we've got the animated Spider-Verse introduction,
Well,
but now we're gonna have
when you look at
the
what
real life.
Marvel has coming up, because they already hinted at WandaVision diving into multiverses, and then of course that's leading into the sequel to Doctor Strange, which is titled The Multiverse of Madness, and they're hinting that the Spider-Verse is going to be actually first introduced in that movie. So
Well,
it's like it
it's
seems
just
like they're
nuts.
building this.
It's like the one,
which is what Marvel does well, is build up stories.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's like the one studio that's got things together and seems like they've got things streamlined. It's not just Red Moon
a
Productions.
lot of people do. Yeah.
It's Marvel
A
Studios.
lot of people are
That's
wondering,
right.
it's like after Endgame
just
and after
under
the Infinity
Marvel.
Stones, where do you go? Well, if their game plan now is to build up this multiverse idea, that's a good way to go, because
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have something compelling to tell after Endgame.
Well, absolutely, and we'll see. We'll obviously are always continuing that news, but other news broke this week, specifically the big news
Good
that
and
dropped. Good and bad. Particularly the bad news is, I think, what everybody is intrigued with. Bad news from the side of what we consider in the film industry as
Good
patrons
for
of the
the
theater.
average
Yeah.
viewer, horrible for theaters.
Yes. Well, and who knows? Maybe that's kind of the discussion we're going to have.
Yeah.
Is this really going to be a long-term good thing for us, the people who are in tune with the movie industry and love movies altogether?
Yeah.
Or is this going to be bad news? The fact that Warner Brothers is sending its entire 2021 slate of movies to HBO Max.
So we'll get there.
We'll get
We
there.
have a couple of reviews.
We have to start with
review.
those.
And,
Yeah.
we're talking about all this Hollywood politicking, and are we starting with the Christmas review, or do we do the normal review
I think
first?
we've been doing the normal review.
I agree. I think that's what we did. And I was just saying, since we're talking about Hollywood politicking, this film had a lot of it in it.
Yes, it did.
So here's the review of Mank. There are a small number of films that stand out as amongst the greatest creations to emerge from Hollywood. Films whose reputations will forever mark them for notoriety. One such film, Citizen Kane, has often been cited as a masterpiece and the greatest film ever made. While this itself is of course debatable, its historic relevance to cinema is not. As such an integral piece of film history, of course the person most responsible for its creation should be just as legendary. And while Orson Welles, who produced, acted, and directed in the film, as well as co-writing it, is exceptionally well known, there has been a dispute for years over who actually wrote the movie. Herman Mankiewicz, who received top writing credit and won the Oscar for Best Screenplay alongside Welles, has often been rumored to have been the sole writer of Citizen Kane, despite his and Welles' dual credit. Directed David Fincher's latest film, Mank, now on Netflix, sets out to tell his story and the creation of Citizen Kane. Starring Gary Oldman as Herman Mankiewicz, the film Mank is a biopic of sorts, showcasing Mank's life during the time he wrote Citizen Kane. The politics at play in Hollywood at the time, and how the people and politics around him influenced the writing of Citizen Kane, while briefly touching on Mank and Wells's feud over authorship of the film. The movie's narrative jumps back and forth from a Mank who is actively working on Citizen Kane to flashbacks showcasing his encounters with several big names at the time, such as L.B. Mayer and William Hearst. Mank is technically a well-crafted film, shot in black and white with cinematography and editing to give the film a 1930s flair. The movie is fun to look at, if not flawed. In the creation of the film, Fincher's color grading, editing, and style hint at the era of its subject matter, but never goes all in, delivering a modern aspect ratio rather than the classic standard. Sound is edited to give an open and often tinny quality of the time period, but with half the film looking and sounding like a 30s film, and half the film modern, the effect doesn't fully work. Outside of its technical prowess, however, the movie is compelling to watch, as it does offer a look into the mindset of Mank himself, and the seedy dealings Hollywood has always been known for. Oldman as Mank is terrific, delivering a solid character performance, though this is not unusual from Oldman. Where the movie falters most is not so much in its direction, acting, writing, or technical creation, but instead in its narrative. Crafted to mimic Citizen Kane's narrative style, Mank jumps back and forth a lot, and while this works for the first hour of the film, once we pass the hour mark, the story meanders for another 30 minutes before finding its footing for the last half hour. This bogs the film down with unnecessary plot to shoehorn more Hollywood politicking into a story that didn't need it. Likewise, the media's subject matter about who truly authored Citizen Kane is never truly addressed, with the movie very decidedly showing Mank as the true author, something now known to be historically inaccurate. This could be accepted as the film showcasing Mank's point of view, but the movie never sets its story up in that way, nor offers the opposing view that Wells did indeed have a hand in the story. I thoroughly enjoyed Mank as a well-crafted film, and loved some of the brief insight into Mank's writing process, as little as there was on screen. Oldman likewise held my attention every time he was on screen. The movie works in most regards, but everything I liked about the movie amounted to its individual parts. When brought together, the sum of these brilliant parts, however, winds up a bit flawed. I give Mank 3.5 out of 4 stars.
All right, I think we've got some division on this one.
I always like when there's division.
You do. You're one of those naughty kids. You like it for Christmas to get the coal.
I like chaos. It makes me happy.
So the fact is, Mank is 3.5 out of 4 stars. Keith, you reviewed it there. Now the question is, do we all agree? Let's go around the table.
No, we don't.
We don't. Sean, I'll start with you. What was your review for this?
I gave it 2.
2 stars. Okay.
Yes.
I was in between both. I guess Sean and I are on the lower end. I was 2.5.
Yeah.
Keith, you gave it 3.5, so obviously you really liked it. And I think this is like not only good division for.
I have a.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, maybe it's just I have a soft spot for Gary Oldman, because when he gives off a great performance, I just like I love Darkest Hour. I mean everything he does. That's like Oscar.
He can
worthy.
be
I'm
anybody.
just like,
I mean, it's really
he is
scary.
He is a great character.
Yes,
actor,
he is.
and I love him for that. And he's always been humble too when he accepts awards. So I always appreciate that too. Like he never gets up and talks politics. He's always just like, "Thank you for this award," blah blah blah, and he goes and sits down and shuts up. So I mean,
yeah. I was like, he doesn't get into the. I mean, he's kind of like a Kurt Russell would probably be a fan, you know.
The opposite, yeah. But while he may not personally get into the politics in this film, which of course he has to act the role given to him, there is a lot of politics, and I know that was a negative for you.
Yeah.
I guess
Absolutely.
for Sean. Well, here's the thing. The first hour I was very compelled by. I liked the way it jumped back, like because the way it followed kind of Citizen Kane's narrative of jumping back and forth, and the way they did it where he would dictate something to his secretary and she'd be like, well, that's like this person. He's like, well, let me tell you about this person. And then they would do a flashback to him meeting that person. I really liked that. And even the politics that were in that first hour, that very first hour, I thought was just solid. After that first hour, I felt like he had written the script and then it went into nothing but politics. And I do agree that was when I was like, okay, the half hour after that was kind of bloated and unnecessary, but then you get to the end and it wraps up, I thought in a pleasing manner. So I liked just the characterization of Mank himself. That's what compelled me the most. But outside of that, I do agree that there are some faults. I just didn't find them to degrade the movie that much, in my opinion.
Okay, Sean, let's shift gears to you. We both, I think, we're on the same mindset as far as the politics and just depending. Well, we'll get there. What were your thoughts?
So the politics were one of the downsides for me, and I do agree. The first hour, 45 minutes to an hour, were very interesting. It's definitely a story that I didn't know, a side of the story that I didn't know.
Well, to be fair, it's not completely historically accurate either.
I read that.
Yeah.
I also
just said you didn't know the side of the story. But
I actually read that the film makes is it Mankiewicz or Mankiewicz? Made him out to be the primary writer of the script, but in fact Orson Welles wrote the majority of the script. Or wrote a bigger.
The treatment was entire because even his secretary in real life has said that Orson Welles had nothing to do with the dictation. Like he wasn't present for any of that. So the initial treatment was 100% Mankiewicz. Where the dispute comes in is that they're saying Mankiewicz, or the people in his court, because he himself is never outside of maybe in a joking manner, has never fully claimed it was entirely his. But they're saying that, oh no, it was all Mankiewicz. Whereas they're saying, no, once that first treatment went to Welles, Welles did do a lot of changing and editing, and there's not known exactly how much is whose, but when they look at the shooting script, they do know that it's like, okay, the shooting script's not the same as what Mankiewicz wrote, so therefore Welles did have a huge hand.
Right. So there's the minor historical accuracy there, but the politics once it got to the scene where they're at the dinner, the big
GOP dinner.
And beyond that, it kind of
lost me.
Yeah, it lost me in the politics, but then it lost me before that in just boredom. I really felt like it was a boring movie. Now maybe, and I will admit, maybe that's because of the time of night that I watched it, and I was tired, and I had a lot of other things that I would have rather been doing. I kind of waited. I usually watch
like
them.
A slog.
I usually wait on Friday or Saturday night to watch them. To watch a movie Monday night, I'm tired from work that day, and it's just like I really want the 2 hours that I have to myself at night to watch something or play PlayStation or do something that I want to do. And it's like I usually don't save watching a movie because there's not all the movies that we watch I'm interested in watching.
Right.
I'll just throw that out there. This was one of them. So it did kind of bore me at times, but the moments that really stood out and that brought me to the 2 stars were the performance from Gary Oldman, and then also the way the film was shot. I loved the black and white, but I loved how it was a little bit blurry like a 1930s film. I loved how it had audio. I actually read that they deliberately made the audio sound
minor critique.
I loved it.
You loved that.
It peaked at times. It was tinny, and that was the kind of audio equipment or sound you would get from that era.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the cuts from scene to scene.
Really was the aspect ratio. He kept a modern
aspect
ratio.
He did. Yeah.
But everything
I appreciate that because the film was cinematography-wise, it was beautiful.
It was.
And to fill my whole screen, I appreciate that. If it would have been cut down to a little box in the middle of my 65-inch TV, I would have been probably.
I would have been okay with that if that was the way the movie was meant to be. Because the artist does that, and I like the artist.
That's true.
So
but,
it just kind of depends.
That was my main grapple with the movie was the politics. Like it really just went sideways.
Exactly.
And that's where it kind of lost me.
And it's not that's the hard part to underscore is it's not necessarily even the messaging. I understood why they used the politics as a backdrop for,
but I didn't feel like it was a backdrop. I feel like it became.
It did. It became
forefront of the film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And it was supposed to be used as kind of like at first you see him doing this treatment and using people that he's experienced in his life to start telling the story and writing it, and then all of a sudden you kind of. I didn't mind. Again, it's kind of like Keith said, the first hour of the film where you see these flashbacks of I think you described it best when you recorded the review about how it kind of does harken back to Citizen Kane in that way. It shows you the influences of this person and how he writes the story that becomes Citizen Kane. But I think ultimately it lost its focus when it became too not political for its own whatever it the movie does a good job of telling you where Mank stands and what his point of view is.
Yeah.
But when they drove directly into all the mythos and like the political jargon of that day and that era, it just got to become so overwhelming that I'm like, it's not that I can't follow along.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of overwhelmed by like, I don't care. Like there's, it's one thing to tell you enough to get a point of view across. It's another when it becomes the second act of the film.
Yeah,
And that was my issue is like by the time we get to the end of this film, I was with you, Sean. I was bored. It actually took me about an hour and a half. It's a 2-hour, 11-minute film. It took me an hour and a half in to finally forget about the sound. I absolutely hated the sound.
Oh, okay.
I understood why they did it. I got the artistic view. It's David Fincher. I get there's some bit of that in his films. I absolutely thought something was wrong with my stereo system. I'm sitting down there checking it, and I was like, I just watched a video on YouTube.
You're just
I
a
know.
big dummy. That's all.
Oh, trust me, I was fearful that I was walking into this thinking that I was going to be another Arrival, where you all were going to attack me for hating this movie.
Your microchip
Yeah.
brain.
But I really did. I thought it wasn't bad. I just, as it kept going on
I do think
and
it could have
on,
been shorter.
exactly.
I mean,
it just
it's
droned
a
on.
2-hour
and on.
movie is average, but I mean, it didn't have to be 2 hours.
Well, and it was funny because I remember us talking when we were doing the reviews of the older classic films, and we were talking about how we got past the Citizen Kane year where it didn't win.
Yeah.
And in fact, I actually found it funny that in this movie they say at the end it was nominated for 9 awards, only won the best writing for Mank.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting historically, and especially when you came in to record the review and told me all the tidbits about, well, it's not really a biopic. It's kind of a subjective point of view of, really how this story came about.
But that was another problem I had is that they present it as a biopic.
Yes.
When really it's this side of Mank was the only writer that's
Right.
not true. It's like if they wanted to say that's Mank's point of view or some people's point of view that they believe he was the only writer, that's fine, but they never stress that in the movie.
And but even still, it was the fact that here I am watching this film, and I just was not enthralled, and it made me think of back when we were like, I watched Citizen Kane back when I was in high school because it's supposed to be this
I watched it, like, my
masterpiece,
freshman or sophomore year, and I really need to rewatch it.
Right, and we kept saying this, but then this movie made me not want to rewatch it because I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, if this is boring, then no wonder I thought Citizen Kane was boring, even if it was supposed to be a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like, it made me want to say, okay, maybe it really was just a bad movie.
My thought on Citizen Kane back then was that it was more pretentious than actually prestigious. And I could say after seeing Mank that even though I need to rewatch Citizen Kane, that might still be true. It might still be more pretentious than prestigious. So.
Exactly. Well, and that's kind of how I felt this movie kind of came across. It kind of came across as pretentious because
I feel like David
Manx
Fincher can be pretentious.
Oh, yeah.
David Fincher very much has that
Agreed.
air about him. Yeah,
and to me, it all depends on the kind of story he's telling. Like, I will say,
I mean, not as pretentious as James Cameron, but
hell no.
I don't think anybody's that.
No.
I mean, no. It's
Full
like
of
I don't
themselves.
think David Fincher thinks he's a god. Okay, but it is interesting because I was bored by it. I didn't think it was bad. I followed along. I thought some of the, it would be like I would get used to the audio, and then there would be a scene of them outside, and then it would just snap me right back into that sounds weird. I don't like this, and it was just there were moments it took me out. There were times where the story kept going, and I was like, "Are we done with this yet?"
Yeah.
Like, I already got the story beat that you're trying to tell. I'm ready to move on, and I just by the time the credits rolled, I was like, it wasn't bad, but it's not something I'm going to revisit. I really just didn't care to watch it again.
I was just gonna say, as a movie that's being touted as a Oscar contender, granted we don't really have very many of those this year.
Yeah.
It's definitely not one that I can see it maybe getting a nom. I don't see it winning because I do agree that while I liked it, it's not one that I feel like is a timeless classic.
I can see Gary getting a nom.
Oh yeah.
definitely.
Yeah,
I can see
absolutely.
him getting a nom. I'm just saying the film itself, I don't feel like has the timeless quality that you want out of a Best Picture
Right.
winner. Not that the Academy has cared about that in the last recent years,
True.
but still.
But I am,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens come award season. All in all, Keith, I know you loved it for the writing aspect and just, and honestly, that's kind of more of what I wanted to see. I didn't mind like him hearkening back to memories and to people he's met and putting them in the living, breathing script that is Citizen Kane.
Here's where I'm at with the writing. I was getting ready to mention, like, my favorite scene in the movie is very short, and it's towards the beginning of the film. But when he's laying in bed, and it's the first night that he's dictating to the, and she's writing down what he says, and he's doing the, I'm trying to remember exactly what he says. He's like talking about how he looks down at the floor to piles of papers spread out on the floor, and the way that dictation
that was
more
going, riveting.
That was more riveting,
Yes.
and I'm like, if that's who he was as a writer, then why didn't you capture that in the writing of the film?
Yeah.
And that's what
Well,
I
and
never got.
and
I
I
did
thought
want
it
to
was-
see more of that. I agree.
You kind of see that in like, in the way he banters back and forth in his conversation.
Yes, yeah.
I did like the script writing. I thought the screenplay was solid. I thought the way in which you could tell they were not talking as people really did back then. They were taking this kind of Hollywoodized version of these exchanges between these people.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind
Well,
that.
the political jargon sounded a lot like today too.
Yes.
Our fear of social, like, I mean,
Yes.
the conservative fear is the fear of socialism
Well,
taking over the country, and it was a huge thing in this movie. And I'm like,
Whoa.
you're saying a lot of the things that many Republicans or conservatives or, dare I say, Trump supporters are saying today.
Right.
All these fears of them taking your guns away
I
and,
agree.
and taking your property.
I thought it
and all-
felt
and I'm
loaded.
just like, man, this is just like
Well,
I'm
when
listening to
the
Fox News.
particular line I loved was they make the differentiation between communism and socialism.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the way in which he phrases it, I'm just like,
No,
that
it's a
seems
bigger
like
difference
that's a
than
little
that.
that's a little
Yeah.
forced for today's politics.
And again, I took that more as Mank being like just being a smartass because
Well, yeah.
And he was,
Yeah.
yeah, and he was a disruptor, and
But-
he and again that
But there
kind
were
of
other
comes
aspects
across
of the film from other characters that were very. I felt like with him, I always felt like he's just being Mank. But with others, it's like no, that is very loaded.
But at the same time, I thought it's interesting because again, without having an understanding of the political landscape of that day
Yeah.
and seeing the differences in how the parties have adapted or changed over the course of the last several decades, it's like you don't have a good like that. To me, is where I get. It pulls me out of the film because I'm like, okay, you're not being true to the source material of the time. You're trying to write in your own personal feelings into a narrative that really maybe wasn't the focus back then. And that's where I got a little bit like, okay, it pulled me out because I'm like, I don't know how true this is to the faithful adaptation of how Citizen came to be written, which to me was more fascinating than just his ideas of what he put in the script. Because again, that's all hearsay.
Yeah.
That's not, to me, the interesting aspect is him sitting in the bed, an alcoholic.
Yeah.
They're giving him one last chance, and he's trying to prove himself, and he creates
you
the
take-
best work ever
you
made.
take the
Yeah.
flashbacks away, honestly, and really only maybe a good 30 to 40 minutes of the film is about him
Writing Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
The rest, the other hour to 70 minutes
Or his
is
thoughts on
politics and
corporate
such, yeah.
overlords and like the fact
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Citizen Kane's
Yeah.
this bastion of, we need to, knock back the corporate, Louis B. Mayer and William
That
Randolph
was another
Hearst.
thing is they threw a lot of big names from back then
Yes.
in without explaining who any of the people were. And for average audience members, I mean, you may know who L.B. Mayer is, and I feel like
Or
they
even
did.
Hearst,
and
yeah.
and I do feel like they did explain who he was fairly well.
I had to look them up.
But
I mean, I'm
was
not
like-
gonna lie.
But
I
I
didn't
don't
know
think
were.
they explained
Yeah.
who Hearst was very well, and most people aren't going to
Yeah.
know who Hearst it was.
Right.
And there's quite a bit of that where I felt like there's a lot of big names from back then that they didn't explain who these people were. They just typical Hollywood's like, well, we're at Hollywood, everyone knows
Well,
us.
and
so-
again, that's where I thought, again, talking about pretentious, I think about the critic reviews, and I think about people who follow. I mean, again, call me just, maybe a new age fan critic of
Call me
modern
Ishmael.
cinema. But but the thing
All right,
is,
Moby Dick.
It bothered me when he was ready
Oh.
to chase a white whale. And he said, "Call me Ahab." It's like the line is
It's
"Call me Ishmael." Yeah,
I think he did that
on
again,
purpose.
On purpose.
intentionally. Yeah.
It
But
still
again,
irked me.
I thought there was part of this film where it just made me feel like, okay, this is Hollywoodized and this is Hollywood's way of being, again, thumbing their nose at us. And it's like, oh, regular citizen folk won't understand this unless you do the research and you really know your Hollywood culture and where it all came from.
All
and
it
I just
proved to
I-
me
I
is
just
that
kind of
Hollywood's
been
been
like-
out of touch with people forever.
they always are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
Every
we've
time
talked
they
about
do
that
this.
when we were reviewing the first
Yeah.
Oscar winners. It's like they've been out of touch from the get-go.
Yeah.
they've never understood the working class person.
No.
As much as
But
claim
they
do.
pretend like they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get these one-off films that do, but they never really give them any credit where credit is due.
Well, because those films are wrong.
Yeah.
Those films don't know the true working class person.
All right, guys, that was our review of Mank.
Yeah.
Obviously, 3.5 from Keith. Go check it out.
Mixed board.
Give us your thoughts. Let us know in the comments. Email us at rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com. But I think it's time to move on to a little bit more of a jolly review.
Ooh, I
Here
like that.
is our review of Fat Man.
When we envision Santa, we think of a kind and warm figure whose nature is jolly and wants nothing but to bring joy to the world, especially children. When Mel Gibson plays Santa, we get an angry old bastard who sets out to rid the world of its cynical ways and kill a few evil men as well. Yes, that's right, kill, because nothing says Merry Christmas like AKs and grenades and a bloody old St. Nick. Fat Man, directed by Isham and Ian Nelms, tells a different kind of Christmas story. One where Santa is a real figure, known by the world, and the U.S. government has a controlling interest in Kris Kringle's Christmas operation. Chris, played by Mel Gibson, is sick of how twisted society has become, and has become cynical himself. When Billy Waynon, a rich young boy, receives coal from Chris on Christmas for his misdeeds, he hires a hitman, played by Walton Goggins, to take Santa and the North Pole out. What ensues can only be described as the Santa Claus meets Tarantino. Unapologetic for what it is, Fat Man has received many negative reviews, but yet the film never tries to be anything more than what it is, an entertaining and action-packed twist on Christmas mythos. The story is unique, and while the writing is average, there are a few zingers here and there that stand out. The action and violence is the perfect kind of over-the-top, matching with the bizarre nature of a Santa in a bloody battle with an assassin. Fat Man may not be to everyone's taste, and that's understandable, but it never takes itself too seriously. And it is consistent throughout. Yes, it's ridiculous, but in all the right ways. And after all, who wouldn't want to watch Mel Gibson play an unhinged Santa? I give Fat Man 3 out of 4 stars.
I think this one we can agree on.
I couldn't agree more.
I like it. Here's the thing.
3
It
out of
has,
4 stars.
I gave it a lower star rating, but I was more entertained by this film.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
Well, how
So-
could you not be?
It was
here's the
fantastic
thing.
from
Yeah.
start
This
to finish.
has terrible reviews. It's got like a 40-something on Rotten Tomatoes. and all
What's
I
the
can say is
user?
that
What's the user score?
it's low too.
Oh,
But
it
all
is?
I can say is that
They're
people,
wrong.
People don't have a sense of humor because
Maybe not.
and here's the thing: if you go in watching this movie taking it as this serious film, you are going to be disappointed. But it never once claims to be anything more than it is.
Yep.
It never tries to say it's trying to be this serious movie. It's literally just supposed to be this fun action film that's like kind of a twist on the Santa mythos, and I loved that.
It was like Quentin Tarantino and the Coen brothers.
I
Mixed
mentioned,
together.
Yeah.
I mentioned it was like Santa Claus meets Tarantino in the review. 'cause,
It's
Yeah.
very. It had that Fargo-esque, but also something like you said, Tarantino.
Yeah.
It just really had a good feel to it, and
Yeah.
it's not the best. It's not the best writing as far as screenplay or whatever, but it definitely. Mel Gibson did a great job.
he was great.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't really care for Mrs. Claus.
Wow,
Not.
okay.
I didn't
mean,
mind.
not
I
because,
thought she was.
I just didn't think she
lied.
was
I
great as
lied.
an actress.
Do you want to know what the user score? I did.
What is the user?
Users love it. It's an
Well,
83.
Hell
gotta
yeah,
be.
exactly.
47 amongst
40
critics,
yeah,
83
there we
amongst
go.
users.
Because
That's
you
more
can
like it.
literally sit there and watch this film and not, if you can enjoy it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no better shot of
Well, that
Mel
shows you
Gibson as
how-
Santa
how pretentious-
driving a Ford down the highway,
Yes.
biting into a Christmas cookie and happy as could
right.
be.
Yep.
But
Like,
that
it was
shows you how
fantastic.
pretentious critics can be because they
Yes.
can't just watch this movie for what it is and say, "Oh, this is entertaining." They have to pick it apart because they're looking for something that the film's not trying to be.
Yes, absolutely.
I loved how it poked fun at the corporate commercialized aspect of Christmas
Yes.
and the government
There's, like,
contracts.
the
and
government gets
I
all the
freaking
money and they
loved
don't get
that.
nothing.
I love it.
I loved how he called Yingping or whatever in China. It
Yep,
was
and he's like, and he doesn't help, and then he's like, "All right, let me try another one." Hey, Elon. I know. It's like he's ringing up Elon Musk to help him. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Some of the lines that were hilarious. Like
Yes.
you were talking about, like when he's talking about the reindeer. You mentioned that last.
Oh, yeah,
night.
when he's sitting there and he's like the two government guys, and he's like, oh, no, that's Donner. He's okay. But if that would have been Blitzen, he would have bit your package off. Like, I'm just like, what in the world?
Yeah.
And Walter Goggins always plays the smarmiest characters.
Yes.
Everything I see him, man, and he's always perfect at it. And I always hate him. And I feel bad because it's not because like I don't really know anything about the guy, but every character he plays is just
always an
Are you
asshole.
talking about the assassin?
Yes,
guy?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And
his biggest role is in the show Justified.
Yeah.
Which was I love that show because it's filmed in Kentucky.
Mhm.
But him and Timothy Oliphant play arch nemesis in that show, and he is fantastic. And to see him in this film, like I appreciate anything he's in.
Even
And
like
he-
the
but
little
he
rich
is-
kid, like
Oh,
I just like
yes.
He was great.
That's what I'm saying, 'cause
God,
I
you
just
just
wanted
wanted
to
to
punch
strangle
him.
him.
Yes.
Yes.
I just wanted to
I
punch
did.
him in
Yes.
the face.
He was
and I
gonna
like,
kill his freaking grandma.
Yes,
I mean, good
trying
Lord.
to lace her freaking, and then he's like
No.
sitting there. I love the fact, like,
And I don't want to spoil the end, but I do love
Yes.
like Mel Gibson's like response to that
Yes.
kid.
Yeah.
Like
well,
I
and
love
again, that where the writing was kind of unique and interesting. Again, it in such a way, in such little time, an hour and a half, builds an entire little universe that you can possibly believe. Like the fact that they're calling him Chris,
Yeah.
everybody knows him, and it's just. I thought it was interesting. I mean, you get to like
He
this.
goes and sits at the bar, and she's just like,
Yes.
"Hey, Chris." I'm like,
And then-
Santa Claus going to the bar.
Oh,
Chris Kringle,
Awesome.
yeah.
And he's like, I really just want a tall glass of milk.
Yeah.
And she's like, you come in here all the time. And then like he's sitting there and like this guy that the woman's hitting on,
Yep.
and he sits by him and he's like, now listen, Nick, your wife at home, she's waiting for you.
Yeah.
And he's just
Yes.
like, I don't know you.
Yes.
And I love that. And it's just like, I loved all the little nuances that they took from, yes, all of the different types of ways in which we hear Santa, you know, being referred to through songs. There was one line I wish they would have used, and I told Keith this.
Oh yeah.
It was like when he's about to go out and deliver presents,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Are you sure you've checked your list?" And I wanted him to be like,
I'm gonna
"Yeah,
check
I've checked it
it
twice."
twice. Yeah.
And he didn't say it, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Damn it, you set yourself up for it. Why
Yeah.
didn't you say it?" But other than that, it was like so much joy in watching this film.
It was very unique.
And I
Yep.
watched it thankfully after Mank, so it was like, oh, okay, this
lifted
brought
you
the
up.
brought the mood up.
Yeah.
Absolutely, thoroughly enjoyed
When,
this film.
Nothing is as heartwarming as Santa blowing away an assassin.
That's right. Right. When
Absolutely.
and dang, I can't. What's the guy's name that plays the villain again?
Groggins.
Walton Goggins.
Goggins.
Yeah,
I hate his
I always
name,
want to say
too.
Groggins too.
Yeah.
When he pulls up and drops the little girl off at her house and talks about killing her dog and killing her family, and then he rolls the window down and he goes, "Merry Christmas." I thought I was
So
gonna freaking
good.
lose it.
Oh man! And he's like,
Such
"What's your
a-
dog's name?"
Yeah, what's
She's
your
like,
dog's name?
Juju Beans. And he's like,
I'm gonna bury Juju Beans in the back. I was like, oh my god.
and he did. He
Merry
had such an
Christmas.
air about him, and like,
Yes.
the only thing I wish I would have gotten more on, and maybe we'll get a sequel, is like him collecting all of these toys from different. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can tell he has this obsession, but it was kind of this like, but why would you collect all these toys from like?
It was toys that
You
he
know,
didn't get for
Christmas,
from
right.
Santa.
But it was just like
That
it
was his beef with Santa was because he
Hated
didn't get what he wanted.
He only got it that
We only got
one
his
time.
Coal.
Well, he got that police car.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the only toy he ever got.
I just enjoy. What I really loved about this movie is I felt like we just got to watch Mel Gibson be himself.
Yes.
Yes.
With the red
Yeah.
coat on.
Well,
They're
it
like,
was-
just,
it
just
was
act like yourself,
actually-
Mel. Be yourself.
It was it was an awesome way to see Santa in a way we've never seen before. But it was also cool in a sense that I was like, it just fit Mel Gibson perfectly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is absolutely who
Yeah.
you want to see Santa be played by.
I love when he's sitting there on Christmas morning and he's smoking the cigars.
Yes.
And then he tells his wife, he's like, "Thanks for the cigars."
Yeah.
And I was just like, it wasn't just because of the cigars and my affection for that, but it was
course.
just like that's such a. I mean, I thought that showed their kind of relationship.
Yes.
It's like she knows what he wanted. It's something simple. It's small.
Well, I love
something
too,
that
like
he can
he
enjoy. Like
gets
I just
back from
loved it.
delivering
Like,
gifts, cuddles with her.
Yes.
And then she's like, the one day you can sleep in.
Yeah.
You know, and it was
Yeah.
like, it's like everybody's getting up early on Christmas Day. He
Yeah.
sleeps in because his work's done.
So
Yeah.
I
I
had
just like the little nods to,
I had a thought, and you don't really have to answer now. Maybe we'll answer on the Christmas episode.
Oh.
But we're reviewing famous Santas,
Mm-hmm.
and we've done 2 so far.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, maybe by the end of this, we rank our Santas. And who we thought was the best Santa on down.
Okay.
And right now, I mean, Kurt Russell and Mel Gibson they've both given great performances.
It is interesting.
I have a feeling I already know who's going to be in dead last. We haven't gotten there yet.
I was going to say Paul Giamatti's probably not ranking high.
Yeah.
But I already know who Tim Allen. I already know how well he does.
So it's going to be interesting. Yeah. So,
I agree. I think by Christmas week,
maybe on the Christmas episode when we do our last Christmas review, we rank our famous Santas. Yeah.
Okay. But no doubt in my mind, if you've not seen Fat Man, look, if you're watching a slew of Christmas movies,
it's not a family film.
No, no, it's not.
Go ahead and get that out there.
It is definitely. It's funny because there are heartwarming moments. But there's also like vitriol and violence. Yeah, and it's definitely worth a watch though.
Not every Christmas film can be just this wholesome thing. Sometimes you need the ones like Fat Man.
Well, let's just put it this way: if the kind of crap that's going on in the world today, I thought the movie had a good underlying message in that way. It was like, no wonder Santa loses hope and spirit. And I love that this kind of rebuilds his faith in humanity, but he also realizes. I love the one line where he comes out and he's like, "Did you think I just got here by being jolly?" I thought that was great.
Yes.
All right, guys. So, yes, check out Fat Man. Definitely worth a watch. Entertaining from start to finish. 3 out of 4 stars from all of us here at the Red Moon Crew. All right, guys. I think we are actually ready to finally hit the news trail. Let's get on with our headlines this week. Top stories. Y'all ready for them?
I'm always.
We already talked about it. Bonesaw is ready.
Bonesaw is ready.
Jeff Morning, we are watching.
Hey, he did comment, Jeff.
We see your comment
Shout
on YouTube.
Out.
He's on YouTube this week.
That's
he gave
right.
up on the tweeters.
Well, because we weren't on there.
We're on there this week, but no one's tweeted.
You know what? But don't tweet. Keep
on
YouTube.
Don't tweet. Yeah, YouTube and
I don't know if
Facebook
we can see
are
it.
much better platforms.
But no, we actually do have Periscope, which is showing up on our Twitter feed.
Who uses Twitter?
Right. Right.
But no, he actually tuned in right at the right time. We got through our reviews. We're now ready to move on to our headlines.
You don't
and
know
of
how
course,
long he's been watching. Maybe he's been watching from the beginning.
Yeah, maybe he just decided to comment now.
Yeah.
Keith, I just noticed you're drinking out of a nice Red Moon mug there.
Yeah, it's lovely. Look at that.
Wow.
It's maybe one day
those will be on sale.
that people can buy them.
Yeah. Maybe they'll be on sale.
Maybe.
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you while we're talking about coffee mugs. What I like the most about this coffee mug.
This is not our headlines.
It is not, no, but I do got to mention.
Yeah, hold it up.
This is a well thought out coffee mug.
Yeah,
because
it is.
Most coffee mugs have the message or the picture on one freaking side of the coffee mug.
But if you're left or right-handed,
these
no matter how you hold it,
are made for anybody.
That's right. Any way you hold
anybody,
you're gonna know you're drinking from a world
I hate
class.
a coffee mug that only shows up when you're holding it in one hand.
There you go.
It's just stupid.
Especially when it's like the opposite hand you want to hold it in, and then like it's facing you, and it's like, well, I want everybody to see.
That's
I don't want to hold this in the
what
other
I'm
hand.
seeing. I want people to see what I'm seeing. I want to be able to share the message.
You ever get the wonky ones that are
What
like?
I see?
Have you ever gotten like the wonky mugs where it's like on the end? Because I hate those too.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Yeah, those don't make any sense.
Who the hell come up with that?
I don't know why.
It's about $5 at
Five Below.
Five Below. We got thinking the same damn thing. All right.
But it's also red on the inside too. That was taken
That's
into
I like
legit.
that. Yeah.
Just
I like
saying.
it.
All
These are
taken into-
nice mugs.
They are.
That's a nice
Very
mug.
We try to think things through thoroughly, and we try to help when people tell us we need to change and we need to respond to criticisms. We try to reach out and fix the problems that we have.
who may not have thought things through thoroughly? I'm sure they did, but some people don't believe they did.
I know
Warner
you thought
Brothers.
things through thoroughly when you came up with that segue.
That
was fantastic.
I like to pride myself on my segues. But Warner Brothers riding on a Segway. And there goes the Segway. It's in the trash now. Anyways, Warner Brothers has now announced that all of their movies for next year, 2021, will release to their streaming service. 17 films on HBO Max. To be fair, they're going to release on HBO Max and in theaters same day.
See, hold on. Here's the
But
thing that I couldn't
not
figure out.
everybody's happy about this.
Were they going to do that beforehand, or was that after some verbal feedback?
No, they announced from the very beginning. They stated we're going to release all the movies we have slated to come out in 2021, only 2021 since COVID. They said this wasn't the plan for 2022 from the very
that did come
from
back
the very start.
Yeah.
No, they said it as soon as they announced it. They said only for 2021. It's going to release on HBO Max and in theaters same day. Granted, they could say only for 2021, and if the money's right, they might
more
be
like we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's
But
okay.
they've gotten a lot of flack for it. And I
Yeah.
will say they were upfront in the beginning in saying that it was only 2021 and it'd be theaters and streaming same day. But
obviously the comments
and I get it.
have not been in favor of Warner Brothers'
Well, it
decision.
does really suck for theaters. But at the same time, it's
Knock
not,
them while they're down. Kick them while they're down.
But at the same time, it's not the production company's fault
They gotta make money.
Here's the thing. I don't feel like theaters and people need to be mad at the studios because what are the studios? They're still making movies during the shutdown.
Now I do agree.
Right.
With
So
you.
what are they going to do? Sit on these movies for 2 or 3 years until they release them? No, they have to release them. So my thing is, they don't need to be mad at the studios. The theaters and all these people who are pissed need to be pissed at the politicians who keep the theaters shut down. Yeah.
And keep areas shut down. No, I agree. I completely agree. I think ultimately what's going to happen is we already saw this with Disney and people backlash about Mulan. I mean, we did. We had
Well, we
backlash
saw
about it.
AMC's backlash with Universal when Universal first announced that they were going to release Trolls, and there was something else
World
they
Tour,
released.
yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. I thought it was funny because I think right after this news came out, I sent y'all an article of AMC's backlash against Warner Brothers and how, they were lambasting and talking about the criticism of, the studio taking this leap when they don't really need to. And I'm like, look, AMC's kind of in, all they can do is they're in bully mode. They really can't do anything than just yell because they don't have any power.
Yeah.
And so I feel
And
bad
I do feel,
for them.
yeah.
Because it's like they're trying to just maintain their business. They're just trying to actually survive, just like everybody else. But it is kind of one of these like catch-22s of at some point, yeah, these studios have got to release these films. They've got to make money, but it was out of the blue. It wasn't even like mentioned as a possibility or let's get an idea as to what people.
Yeah, they didn't really talk it over with anybody or the theaters before they did it. They just kind of blindsided theaters by saying, "Hey, we're going to release every single film we have coming out next year." And I get it. I mean, if they were to say for the first 6 months, maybe theaters would understand more. But the fact that it's the entire year when they're hoping that halfway through next year at least, well, there'll be some type of normalcy with theaters. So then they're like, okay, well, you're going to screw us over for the entire year when we may not be shut down the entire year?
I thought they were releasing it in theaters.
They are.
It's not, and I thought they had
the same day.
Wasn't it? See, I thought it was a month or something
No,
like that.
No, it's
that
gonna be
was
same day.
Universal's deal with AMC.
Okay.
Now, Warner Brothers are doing same
They
day
wanna do
in
same
theaters
day.
and in streaming, and theaters aren't happy because they believe. Well, I
Well,
mean,
who
it's
wouldn't-
true.
yeah.
It's going to cut into
The
their
normal
their
person's
their
gonna stay
profit. They're going
home.
to stay
Yeah.
home and watch.
So I
it.
was going to say, we've obviously had some A-list players who've commented. We've got Mr. Nolan commenting. I'm pulling it up right now on my phone.
He had a nice righteous
and
fury about.
I would
it.
say, oh
Yeah,
yes,
he
he
did.
did. He went out ball swinging,
yeah.
man. he wasn't throwing.
He bit the hand that feeds because all of his movies have been with Warner
Yeah.
Brothers, and
Well,
he just
but
straight out
again,
called them scum.
You know what? Which you got to give him credit, or not
He's-
him credit.
he's
You got to give
sticking to his
WB
beliefs,
credit
though.
in the fact that they just released Tenet and it
Mm-hmm.
had abysmal,
Yeah.
box office performance. And part of the reason was everybody thought Tenet was going to save the theaters, and it's not that it couldn't have. It's just that there was nothing else on the slate for like 2-3 months.
There's nothing to follow up
So
with. I mean,
obviously people aren't going back for just one movie. And if your next big movie was going to be something that was going to end up getting delayed because people weren't having, foot
I think
traffic.
if Warner Brothers hadn't have gotten cold feet and left Wonder Woman alone, we could have seen a little bit of a revival in theaters because
True.
it was scheduled to come out 2 to 3 weeks after Tenet. But they got scared because Tenet wasn't doing well, and they were like, okay,
Yep.
well, now we're going to start pulling all our movies.
So I wanted to bring up the quote from Mr. Nolan here, and he said, some of the industry's biggest filmmakers and most important movie stars went to bed that night before thinking they were working for the greatest movie studio and woke up to find out that they were working for the worst streaming service.
Wow. Yeah.
to be fair,
and he
HBO
is-
Max is the worst
Well, I was
streaming
gonna say,
service.
Yeah.
he's actually not pontificating there with 8.4 million subscribers. It's actually been proven that they're not happy with the performance that HBO Max was
Well,
bringing in.
they released a half-assed product.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Bring that
Well,
back.
it's not just a half-assed product. They released the whole thing halfway. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't even see it everywhere. You can only stream it from your phone to your TV through AirPlay or whatever, or watch it on your
If
PlayStation.
you have a console, you
A
can
console,
watch it. But
but
pretty much, if
those
you're
of
a
us
person
with
with
Roku's
Yeah.
and it wasn't until recently that they released it on Fire, Amazon Fire. But the Roku is the most popular streaming device out there. It has the widest amount of. It has more apps than Apple TV.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, who has more apps than Apple?
Well,
But
it is
Roku does.
the most used streaming platform. Roku
Absolutely.
is. So, and it's funny because it wasn't on. It's still not on Roku. Wasn't on Amazon for the longest time. It's not on the newer consoles at all. It's still on the previous generation.
Yeah.
It doesn't have 4K or HDR. It's missing a lot of Warner Brothers content, which I mean, you can argue is Disney still missing a lot of Disney content.
Well,
but
and
Disney
a
still
lot
has
of that
more
is
to
also
offer.
thought to be tied up in other streaming deals that they had before their service.
But it's like at least Disney, even they were when they first released, they were very outright. We don't have everything yet.
Yep.
And they still released with 4K HDR
And
on,
Mandalorian.
yeah,
I mean, something good,
yeah.
on almost
Actually,
on
something-
almost
yeah.
every platform, and heck, even Apple TV Plus, which has nothing to offer, is on every platform now.
Now,
Yeah.
I was
So-
actually surprised by that and happy because they extended my my free service for like the next 3 months through
I'm
February.
just saying, when
And
you're
I'm just
Warner
sitting here,
Brothers
at
and you're
least I
getting-
have a chance
your
to
service
watch
is getting
stuff.
beat by Apple. It's like who's not a
Well, I
production
don't want to
company.
say that. I don't have the numbers on
Okay,
Apple TV
okay.
Plus subscribers.
I
I
would
don't know
say
if it's getting
HBO
beat,
Max probably has more subscribers than I would
but
agree
they're
with
definitely
that.
getting whooped by Netflix
But
and even Disney
they're not
Plus,
doing
which is
so
the
high.
newcomer.
Yep.
But it's like Nolan did add, he said, Warner Brothers has an incredible machine for getting a filmmaker's work out everywhere, both in theaters and in the home, and they are dismantling it as we speak. They don't even understand what they're losing. Their decision makes no economic sense, and even the most casual Wall Street investor can see the difference between disruption and dysfunction.
Apple's pinning their subscriber count at 33.6 million.
Wow, they are
So,
whooping.
yes, they
so,
are.
So HBO Max is
And that's probably from free subscriptions for the
Well,
last
you got to think about
last
it.
year.
Every iPhone, every
Gets a
iPad,
free-
every Apple
yeah.
TV, every MacBook,
But
everything
well,
you're
smart
getting
here's
a
the
free
funny
subscription.
thing.
But Apple still, I would argue, as little as they have, there's still more things on Apple I want to watch.
Well, it's all original.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any other library or catalog. But the
Well, they
other
got- they got
interesting thing
Peanuts,
is,
and,
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
I'm all about that.
Sean just brought up a great point, though. All these new iPhones and iOS devices bring in a free 1-year subscription of Apple TV Plus. Warner Brothers not only announced their 2021 slate is all moving to streaming
They
only,
canceled
they
all free-
canceled the 30-day free trial.
Yeah.
Every streaming and subscription service that exists has a free trial, whether it's just 7 days or 30 days. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
If they had shortened it to 7 days, it's like that's fine. Most streaming services do only have a 7-day free trial.
If you have AT&T, you're getting HBO Max
For free anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that they were like, well, not only will we release every movie coming out next year to our platform, we're going to make sure you can't watch them for free for 30 days. And it's like, the trial's only good for one trial period. So if you waste your 30-day free trial on Wonder Woman in December,
Yep.
you can't use it again when Dune or Matrix 4 comes out.
Right.
So why are they really like? It's funny.
I guess you could just do what we all do and just make a new email, address.
True.
But so
True,
what?
true.
And you know what? I hate doing that because then what ends up happening is I get 50,000 emails
That's
every year.
true. Yeah, that's right.
Rejoin now and
Yeah.
get this deal.
Yeah.
And I hate dealing with that. So
we
I
do it,
have
we do
throwaway
it every year.
email
We used to do it
accounts.
every year with Sling TV during basketball season because we don't pay for cable. So during basketball season, we would sign up for Sling
Like
TV
a new email address.
with a new email address or whatever, and
Smart,
they give you 30 or 60 days for free.
And there's ways around that companies know when it's coming from like the same kind of area or same, IP address. There's
Yeah.
ways for
That's
them
what
to
VPNs are for.
That's
Well,
exactly
that's-
right.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't
Yep.
gonna throw it, but everybody knows. But here's the ultimate issue with all of this, because what is really becoming, I think, a greater, big, and this is kind of what to Christopher Nolan's point. The idea that some of these films, a lot of the stars and a lot of the above the line people that are being paid after the movie's release are now in subject to create criticism and cause a ruckus, because it's like part of our paycheck from this film was how well it did in theaters. Now WB could argue, well, we're saving that. We're salvaging. We're going to give you a cut off the top of what we think the performance would have done for you if it had been released full capacity in theaters. They ended up giving Gal Gadot like $10 million for her role in Wonder Woman. And it's funny because they're trying to keep the big players happy because they obviously want this to be a franchise. They want them to come back.
Yeah.
But the bigger question here is, when all of these 17 movies are released, does, for one, Warner Brothers, have they already accounted for the checks that they're going to have to cut that may or may not have performed that well. Who knows if Dune was going to be a success if it came out in theaters and people were going to go see it.
Most remakes aren't.
And not only that, but with a vaccine on the way, who knows if, why not at the beginning of the year when theaters start to open to full capacity and the lockdowns are lifted, who's to say that by the end of next year when some of these movies were to come out, they wouldn't be back to regular theater sizes?
I'm going to say, like...
That's the bigger question.
I'm
Theaters
excited
need to
about
advertise. Yeah. That's one of the things that blows my mind is I didn't once see AMC or any theater for that matter advertise on television or online anywhere that they were open again.
No.
And
it
I
was
think
just the subscribers of their services.
That is right. Is only the people in the know that found out about it. And I just that baffles me. Why would you not spend a little bit of money?
They didn't have
the grand scale. I understand
they're probably
that,
arguing
but
they didn't have it.
Yeah, but they've been spending money that they didn't have anyway. Netflix spends money that they don't have all the time, but spend a little bit of cash and put some advertisements on there that you're open, that you're alive, that you're breathing, that you need us to come to the theater. And I think people would have. We did.
Because
we understood what was at stake.
I agree. But that's the greatest risk of all. It's like the
huge.
Theaters really can't be to blame here, though.
No,
but they
I don't
could have
blame
done a little bit.
I don't blame production companies either.
No,
exactly.
It's just a crap situation.
It is.
that the theaters are getting the raw end of.
The problem is the production companies are in the business of also trying to win over clients that they want to attract for their movies. And when you piss them off because either one, you now have Nolan, who's a fan of the theaters and who has been partnered with WB, directly calling them out. And then you also have these other actors and actresses and other above-the-line people
that don't get a cut,
who aren't getting a cut from the theater.
Anybody that likes money likes the theater.
Absolutely.
If you're in Hollywood.
Especially for these big-budget flicks.
Because you can't... I mean, I'm sure if it helps, and that's Warner Brothers' goal is to help HBO Max gain subscribers by releasing all these films directly on their service, but is it going to be the same amount of cash flow as releasing, like, say, Dune, which is a movie that people are highly looking forward to, or even Wonder Woman, which is a massive film? It's like, is it going to get the same amount of profit off of the streaming service? Most likely not.
Well, especially when that was another thing that they're not taking into account is all the ways in which their profits are going to be cut, not just by theaters, but in all of the other streaming services, such as even just rental services. Yeah. Like when you have it only on your streaming platform, it does make it great for the direct-to-consumer. And that's where it's like, okay, yeah, why would we complain if we just pay our HBO Max fee and we get the movie that we want to watch?
I'm excited I get to watch it.
But it's like over time, you're also cutting down on now all the different ways in which before you buy an HBO Max subscription, you could be milking money from people who want to see it the day it comes out on a streaming service to rent, like Vudu or Apple or iTunes, and then you're getting rid of that money because now you just have to pay one HBO Max subscription and get all of these films the moment they come out.
Yep.
And it's like, that is great for us. I'm not arguing that. But for theaters, it's another kicking while they're down. Is this really gonna be what becomes the de facto way in which the theaters or the movie studios move?
I'm happy that I get to see Wonder Woman and Dune because those are two of the movies that I'm looking forward to the most from Warner Brothers.
Yep.
I'm not so excited for Matrix 4.
Matrix.
Yeah. The Wachowskis haven't impressed me in many years, so I don't know about that one.
Kind of sad.
But
maybe that one's a good one for HBO
Max.
While
I'm happy that I don't have to wait forever to see those movies now, I'm also sad because, especially with Dune, because it's set to be more based off of the original books, which I'm excited about. It's Denis Villeneuve, who I love, and I'm like, I really wanted to see that in IMAX.
It's a massive scale film that needs to be seen
in IMAX.
Yeah,
well, and you can. They're going to argue you can still do that.
I mean, I will.
You're going to be able to go see it.
I will go see it in IMAX.
And that's what they're going to say. They're going to say, look, this was, again, their argument is this is for only the 2021 slate. They have people out there running like gangbusters trying to play a PR stunt of saying, hey, like, trust me, if this continues into 2022, we will give you enough of a heads up to let you know if it's going to go direct to streaming. And a bunch of people who are their clients already are saying, BS, because you didn't do it with this notification.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, I think it's a lot of the messaging and a lot of the, you're putting the cart before the horse. Why did you make this decision without any heads up? And it seems so drastic. And then in the same sense, cut the free, subscription period of a trial period. And now all of a sudden you're in a bucket of, okay, are you just doing this as a money grab? Is this just simply to skyrocket your subscribers on your streaming service
I think
that isn't doing real well? And that's part of what a lot of people are saying. Okay, you had a botched rollout So now all you're doing is just trying to cover your ass and basically have another rollout for next year when you have all these movies that are going to be absolutely hitting the streaming
I'll tell you how they
service.
help themselves. Get their service on Roku and add some 4K in there.
Boom.
Right.
Yeah, because really the people who want the service are going to be looking for those options. Absolutely.
Like, I'll literally, if there's something on HBO Max I want to watch, like Lord of the Rings, and I get on there and it's like there's no 4K, I'm like, I'm going to go watch this somewhere else.
Well, you know why that is?
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're releasing this month on 4K
I'm not
Blu-ray.
watching
Yeah. Not
Wizard
on
of
HBO
Oz.
Max.
I was excited when HBO Max first came out because I was like, I really want, because they have a 4K release of Wizard of Oz. I've never watched it in 4K. I wanted to see it.
Yep.
Then I learned HBO Max doesn't have 4K. I still haven't watched Wizard of Oz on their service because I don't want to watch it in 1080. I know
Yep.
that's not most people
It's
don't.
nitpicky,
Most people don't
but-
care.
yeah.
But I'm like, no, that's not the way I wanted to watch it.
All right, guys.
I get a screener of it in 4K.
I think we're ultimately unhappy
Yeah.
with a screener. That's how we get all our stuff.
And we use our VPN to get those screeners.
Well,
too.
it's just a special kind of service.
Yeah,
okay? Only meant for us. All right, guys. I think actually that's probably going to do it for our topics this week.
Probably.
But
it's
I think
almost the
it's-
end of the show.
I think it is safe to say though that we're upset with WB. It's a little.
I'm not upset with WB, but I am upset with the situation.
Yeah.
I'm upset that
I'm upset with them for their crap streaming service.
And again, but that's where they're shoehorning you into going, and I think that is crappy. That it's like again,
That's a good point because you have all these amazing new releases like Wonder Woman, Dune, the ones that are interested in Matrix, and I'm not gonna be able to watch those in 4K.
not on the streaming service.
Yeah, it's
you're
stupid.
they're gonna say, well, then we offer
But
a movie ticket.
they'll
for that
release
price.
they'll release it 6 months from when it's on HBO Max for VOD in 4K. I'm sure.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
And then they'll say if you're that particular, you can go buy it on there, which is sad.
I am that particular, but that's why I have stream. That's why I have streaming services. That's right.
No doubt. But no, it is
You
crappy.
don't give me what I want, I'm gonna find a way to get it.
But it is crappy. It's crappy for the theaters. It sucks. It was more bad news for them. It just puts them in another tough position of what are they going to do before all of this crap, ends up, ending. And I think you are right about your initial point of view, which is don't just get mad at the studios. They're trying to figure out what the right thing to do is here. Yeah, it was a bad PR move on WB's part,
Oh, yeah.
but at the same time, it's also they got to try to find a way to make money.
Yep.
And they got to try to find a way to make a profit off these films without going to theaters. And theaters, it's like blame your politicians that are on lockdown.
It's everywhere. It's not just Hollywood. All businesses are trying to find a way to survive. You can't keep the economy in gridlock forever.
No.
It creates these problems.
All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for our topics of this week.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to, our ever-beloved relationship segment.
Let me tell you about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the moon up above.
And a thing called love. Oh, love. I love that open.
I love love.
Tell us how much you love love.
I really love it.
I really love it too.
Everything about love just makes me feel loved.
All right, guys. Our topic for this week, we are centering, again, around the holidays, around Christmas time.
Christmas.
So we wanted to ask specifically about presents. Does the thought count, or is it the dollar amount? And yes, it was Sean Sebastian who came up with that nice, lovely little rhyme there. Giving you credit.
Okay.
It's true. He did think of it,
He
and
did
it was
think of it.
gold.
It was very gold.
Pure gold.
It was about 5 minutes before we
Best
went live.
thing, our best ideas come on the fly.
They do. As we showcase every single
So,
week on
Brandon,
this live show.
Is it about the dollar amount, or is it the thought that counts?
I would say
For the guy that puts water in his soap to make it go a little further, I don't know.
look,
Listen,
I'm not cheap.
Yeah, you are.
there
You're
are
cheap on some stuff.
Exactly. There
Yeah,
are certain
but not
things.
where it counts.
Exactly.
Like, look around us.
there's
Look in this room.
That's kind of a guy
You're
thing.
not cheap.
Like when it comes to our toys, we're not cheap.
That's right.
When it comes to everything else, like utilities, we don't care. We'll
Now
live
wait
in
a
a cave.
second. Wait a
right.
second.
As long as we can power our
see,
toys.
here it is though. You're kind of shoehorning us into a bad position. You're like, when we think about ourselves, we spend money.
True. Yeah.
When we think about other people, screw
But
you.
that's not. No.
I
That's
wouldn't
not I
say
never
that.
said that. I never said that because you're not. You live by yourself. Now, if you were buying for somebody else, you might spend some money. But because you're just taking care of yourself, you don't care if your soap's watered down or not.
Hell no, I don't. Absolutely not. Because at the end of the day, I'm
I
like,
went and
it's
bought
still
soap, shampoo, and stuff from the Dollar Tree the other day because I'm like, it's soap, and I don't want to spend a lot of money.
Damn right, man. The Dollar Tree is
I got laundry
fantastic.
detergent, all my utilities from the Dollar Tree. It was great.
It's fantastic.
I spent $10.
Their detergent is a little watered down, but it's still
little bit.
it
It
still does
works.
the same.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's kind of like my soap, watered down, but it works.
It works. Yeah.
So yeah, who steals
bleach,
soap?
bleach is bleach. If I get it from the Dollar Tree or if I spend $3 on it at Walmart, it's bleach.
All right, now let's get back to
That's
presents.
true.
Exactly. Why would you spend more on
Bleach is
bleach?
bleach.
That's right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So
So in
back
that,
to
in that
presents.
way,
back to presents.
the dollar amount doesn't count.
Okay, but what about presents?
I still say the dollar amount doesn't count. But that's
Okay.
just me.
I would agree.
When it's actually, here's my thing. I'm more likely to spend more money on other people than to expect them to spend money on. Like, I really don't care how much you spend on me. If you
Yeah.
spend
Well,
$2 buying me something, I'm happy.
It's funny because that was one of
Mm-hmm.
our topics. I think a couple years ago was is it better to give than to receive?
And
And-
I've always been a giver.
Oh well, we know that.
But
Hey.
but yeah, I've to me, I mean, I'm happy that somebody even bought me anything. To be honest with you, because I don't really expect much from.
Well, to me,
anyone.
I think what it comes down to is it could be either or. But sometimes you can be thinking about an item and it is a very thoughtful gift, but it can be expensive. And then there are times where it's like in that moment, I'm thinking, okay, well, personal finances, can I spend a lot of money?
No.
Yeah.
And if
That's
I
why I'm
ca-
buying stuff from the Dollar Tree.
But it's still funny because it's like, then I backtrack it and I'm like, okay, well, what else is a thoughtful gift
Yeah.
that's within my budget?
Yeah.
And I do go through it. It is like I'll go through, a list of all the people that I care about in my life. And I haven't gotten y'all
Well,
anything.
we didn't get anything last year.
I mean, when you're shopping at the Dollar Tree, it's hard to buy people gifts.
Hey, a freaking whoopee cushion is fine with me.
See, well, you said wine glasses and beer mugs are
they
at
sell
the
them
Dollar
at the
Tree.
Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
It's like they may
$1
break
each.
the first time in the dishwasher,
That's
but
true.
you know what?
I have,
That's
true.
I have quite a few wine glasses and beer mugs from the Dollar Tree, and they've held up.
No, but the budget thing, I agree. With me and my wife, it's every year. It's what's the budget for our parents this year?
Yeah.
What's the budget for each kid this year? Because every year it seems like the older they get, they don't like little baby toys anymore. Now they want bigger. My oldest son is getting into now. He wants a Nintendo Switch. Well, we already have one, but I'm just using that as an example. It's not Legos anymore or Hot
it get a little
Wheels. Now they
fancier.
want
I
they
would
want
be
the
thrilled if
Nintendo
somebody.
stuff.
Legos are expensive. If
They
someone
are.
bought me something nice Lego,
They are,
I would
we got
excited.
Legos.
I get the Duplos.
We got Harry Potter Legos.
Well,
so
Duplos are the big ones.
Duplos are the
Those
yeah.
were the ones I hated.
I
Yeah.
know.
I never wanted the
but
generic
they're
Legos.
cheap.
sucks.
Those are like the toddler Legos.
Dollar Tree Legos
You
are
can get
terrible.
Fooplos.
Fooplos.
Fooplos. You can get the
Mega
crappy
bricks.
ones.
Mega bricks.
Mega
That's it.
bricks.
Yeah, Mega bricks.
Yes.
Has it got the little bunny on the cover?
Yeah.
It's got like a little orange bunny.
I know what you're talking about. I
Yeah,
don't know
it's like the little mascot's a little orange bunny.
Is that Mega Bricks?
I think that's Mega Bricks.
Okay. Yeah, I know the Orange Bunny. I
I
just
know
didn't
they
that was
don't.
Mega
They
Bricks.
don't fit with Legos. They
No.
deliberately make them so that they won't fit.
I
with
think
Legos.
that's because Lego's like you're not
You can't do
interacting with
that.
us.
Yeah.
Like we don't want them to
We don't want that cheap
confuse.
crap.
If you want
Yeah.
cheap Legos, you need to look at.
You step on a Lego
Lepin.
and you slice your foot open. You step on
You
a
ever heard of
you step
those?
on a Mega brick and it just
Yeah,
collapses.
Yeah. What was
yeah,
it?
Lepin.
Lepin?
Get online and look at it. They are the absolute. It's the full Lego sets from China, but they just don't have Lego on the box.
Well, hell,
Wow.
I'll
They
buy
can't use
that.
the name brand.
You might
half
get COVID
price,
when you buy them.
You can get the freaking huge $500 Millennium Falcon for like $120.
Well, heck
Oh,
yeah.
hell yeah.
And I've bought them before. It
risk
takes
Corona
6
for
weeks to
that.
get them. It takes forever to get them.
Well, here's the thing.
But when you get them,
What's a kid gonna know the difference?
they don't know the difference.
They don't.
I got Ninjago Legos for Sawyer from there.
If it
the
just
same.
doesn't have the, if it's
same
the
thing.
exact if it's the same quality without the
Instructions are in
name,
English. All that stuff. It's
Broken
legit.
English.
No,
they
it's-
have
Pretty good.
No, never had a
they
bag
have
missing.
now they have a Lego the child from the Mandalorian and I want it. I have a Lego Yoda I built.
Yeah, yeah.
I want the
Oh
child.
wow.
I don't. Are you talking about the baby Yoda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I
He has a name now.
I haven't
but
caught
you haven't
up.
gotten that far,
I haven't
so
caught
was
up on Mandalorian.
I
I'm a
know.
little low on that.
Yeah.
But I agree, Sean. It's like for me, it's about budgeting, but it's also about again. I think it has to. Here's the thing. I think there's a time where the dollar amount counts, but there's never not a time where the thought doesn't count. If there's ever a time where the thought's not there, then it's a problem.
But that's different for everybody. Like, I can get my wife something cheap and she'll love it. But there's other people out there.
Because you know her.
I know, but there's other people out there that if you got them something cheap, you
They
can
would.
see.
They'd be disappointed.
It doesn't matter that you
I don't want
put
this.
a lot of thought into it.
And you
They're
know what
just kind of
happens?
like, this is
I just crossed their name off my list. I'm like, you're not getting anything
nothing
ever
next
again.
year. Yeah.
Never
Here's the
again.
thing.
You're not my friend.
Because I love giving people gifts, so I always try to put a lot, even if it's not expensive. Because most of the time, like I do have to budget, so most gifts are around the $20 range. But I always do think about that person and the things they like, and get something very kind of like specific to that person. I don't just buy generic gifts.
Yeah.
Because I love doing that. And I'm happy when people do the same for me. When I get something, like even if it's $2, but it's something that they know I love, I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and another thing I like to do typically is, regardless of the gift, like I'll tell you one person who's great at giving gifts. And I don't know if they're watching, but Jacob.
Oh, yeah.
He is good about nailing down what you are as a person. Like you're like, again, like the little light that we have here at the bottom of the table was a great wedding gift just for being a groomsman in his wedding. And it was just like perfect. It fit my personality. We use it here on the show every week.
Every week. Yep.
It's awesome. And it's just a good reminder of our friendship. And like, to me, those things are what stick. Like things that are gifts beyond just that 1 year, but are things that will last. They have a meaning beyond just that day and that point in time. And another thing too is like if I'm sending a Christmas card,
Sean bought his
or
coffee beans last year. That was like one of the best gifts I got last year. I
Something
love
you can
coffee.
use. I like to give
love
something
that
you can
coffee.
use.
agreed.
Not something that just sits on your, tabletop or whatever. Like
Right.
we use this light every week. You all drink coffee or
I mean,
or
because of
pipe
you
tobacco
buying
or
those
whatever.
coffee beans,
pipe
like
tobacco was awesome.
I'm now like I refuse to buy like cheap coffee.
Oh
Like,
no!
you made me
But
a
see,
snob.
but
I'm
that's
like,
not
I
a
don't-
bad
I don't want
thing.
it. I want coffee
I
beans
am
I can
snooty.
grind in my grinder
Little
that
snooty
tastes
when
good.
it comes to coffee.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that about my
You
smokes.
spoiled me, and now I
know?
don't want to. I don't want to do it
sorry.
anymore. I'm not going back to Folgers. I can't
Don't
do
go,
it.
oh, don't. You shouldn't have started with Folgers.
Which is sad because that's exactly what we're drinking
I
tonight
know.
on the RM
I know.
podcast.
That's what my dad
It
always.
needs sugar.
That was my dad. Folgers,
Hey.
100%.
Folgers in your cup?
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, there ain't nothing wrong with a little black silk in Mr. Coffee, okay? It does just as good as that Starbucks grinder.
I don't even know what
Ain't
the hell you're
nobody-
talking about. Do
Ain't
you?
nobody believe that.
What's black silk?
That's the brand of that version of Folgers.
Oh.
It's the
Maybe
it's
that's
the
why this
darkest
tastes better
roast.
because you're
Oh,
not.
it's, oh, okay.
That's why it tastes better than normal Folgers. You didn't buy just
black
the
silk Folgers.
That's right.
Kroger brand coffee.
And Mr.
That's
Coffee,
like saying Maxwell Mansion instead of Maxwell House. It's like,
That's the
what
China
can you
brand.
slap on
That's-
it to make it sound better.
That's like with beer when they have like Miller High Life and Bud Platinum. They still taste like shit.
Piss water.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know, exactly. Sometimes it's just, it's a golden turd, but it's still a turd.
Jeff
no.
said Chip drinks coffee out of a beaker. That's
A
what he
beaker?
said.
Yeah. No, it's actually, it's
That's
funny.
kind of awesome.
I know which one he's talking about. The
That's
glass
because
that he's
Chip's
talking
smart
about.
enough to understand things like Arrival.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
well,
he got
I will
Arrival.
say, he's got that Techniforum, and that Techniforum is
Technivorum.
Vorum.
Yeah.
I screwed it up.
Get
well,
it right, damn
well,
it.
maybe I'm talking about the China brand.
Technivorum.
I'll take the Techniforum.
It's not a Mr. Coffee.
It's not.
What did you say that China brand of Legos was again? I got
Lepin.
Lepin. I'm
Lepin.
remembering that. I'm googling.
I'm
this.
serious.
I don't have the money to buy even
They're cheap,
even
and
a
it's
half
the
price
same
Lego set
freaking
right
thing.
now. But
It comes with all the boxes exactly the same, except it says Lepin
I like
instead of
building
Lego.
some Legos. When I had
Man,
when
he's-
I was unemployed
he's about
for
to
a
get
while,
autistic.
He's gonna get on-
He's
he's
gonna
gonna
be.
get
We're gonna
on
walk
it.
into his house. There's gonna be magical Wonderland in there
yeah.
with weapons.
It's gonna look like Legoland, except it's
when
Lepin
I
Land.
was unemployed there for a while and I was going bored out of my mind while looking for a job, I built some Legos.
Legos are that's way
Yeah.
more
It's-
interesting than a
It
puzzle.
is.
Yes.
It's
to
way
me.
easier
Yes.
to pass the time
Yeah.
with weapons.
Yeah.
I agree.
and it's the right time.
I'm not even
because-
going to use the brand anymore. Screw them. I'm giving
Lepin.
Lepin's
Yeah.
credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to
Overcharge people for a plastic brick. Come on.
I know.
China gets it right with Lepin.
Not only that, but it's like we know Lego's game
It's
now.
the same thing.
It's like you all are huge. Okay, we get it. We
You're
understand.
literally
like,
only paying for the name Lego.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Kristen says baked goods are thoughtful too.
That is true.
Sometimes.
They warm the soul,
Yeah.
and I will.
Food's something you can use.
You know, it's funny because you all did walk over here with cookies.
It
last
all makes
week,
a turd.
and I didn't have a
Didn't get
cookie.
any. That's your
So-
fault.
Just saying.
You know what?
It's a little bit
I enjoy, and I know
heartbroken.
Neil hates these, but I actually like when people get, you know, those big tins of popcorn.
Yes.
I like those.
The different kind, the 3 different kinds.
Yes,
You got the
yes.
white cheddar, the
And
regular,
they always
and the
have
caramel.
the big tins for Christmas, and no one ever gets me those anymore, but I like those.
Like, see, and that's the thing.
Okay.
Neil said he gets one from his aunt every year.
I
and he hates
hope-
This is you go ahead, but this is way off topic, but I gotta mention it.
But here's the thing.
Go
I
ahead.
hope that people. I am in the mood of like, if any gift I get, I'm happy about.
Mhm.
And one thing in particular is I love Christmas cards in the mail that have a special message.
Mm.
If I receive a card and it's not just hey Merry Christmas, and if you do, that's fine. I love that too.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
send you a
But I
card.
do love the ones that have like a specific, because I try to do the same. If I give you a present and I give you a card with it, I'm not going to just write a generic message.
Oh, no.
I'm
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
take the time to sit down and write you
If I
directly.
buy somebody
Yeah.
a card, I'm gonna write a personalized note in there.
Yep.
Yep.
Now,
Full
Sean,
of
you
love.
were bringing up what
Well,
now?
I was just going to bring up something that Brian mentioned real quick because I think this is awesome if it's true. But he said Elon Musk is getting into digging tunnels for transportation, and he uses the dirt for the brick manufacturing, and he only
For
charges.
weapons?
No, not for
Oh.
weapons. He's making bricks that interlock like Legos that you can build stuff out of.
Yes. They're literally
That's
it's like,
insane.
It's like 3D houses.
Yeah.
I saw the printing the blocks for houses.
Yeah, that's insane.
They can build a house in a day. Like, that's amazing.
I'll
But
tell
I
you,
did not
man.
know about this Elon Musk thing. Just another reason they should just hand him the keys to NASA and say, here.
And it's just proven that, Elon's always about
Neil
giving back.
corrected me, and I should have
It's
clarified.
the thought that counts, and it's the dollar amount with Elon.
I should have clarified because I do know this, but he did correct me and say that he doesn't hate that he gets it as a gift. He doesn't like popcorn because he has this thing about his
Yeah,
teeth. It gets
yeah.
stuck in his
Yeah.
teeth.
Oh,
Yeah.
regular popcorn.
like
the
a-
caramel doesn't
apple-
do that.
No.
No,
The caramel
don't.
ones are fine, but yeah, the regular
I mean,
popcorn.
it gets stuck in
Yeah.
my teeth too, but then I just go get a pick and pick it out. Like, it doesn't drive me crazy the way it does.
Yeah.
Neil.
Yeah.
And I do admit, I mean, it is annoying if you're somewhere and you can't get something out of your teeth. I do hate that feeling, but Neil loathes
Here- okay, would you all say this then?
It's
would
funny
you
because that's
say
what we used to get.
was the
in his
popcorn
family would
tins?
always get the popcorn tin.
I think he said
From
his
one-
aunt used to give him.
Yeah,
give all
I
of them
wasn't
that
gonna
every-
name the person or say his aunt, but yeah, it's his aunt.
Well, they ain't watching.
I will say
Probably
this.
not. But
We do have certain people, they may watch sometimes, but I just remember on Black Friday,
Mhm.
they would usually take advantage of certain deals to get people gifts so that they were cheaper than normal.
yeah,
But a lot of times it was
Extravagant.
these ridiculous, extravagant gifts. And I thought,
I think I know the people you're talking about. And they would buy 5 TVs because they were on sale, keep what they wanted, and give the others as gifts away. So
and it's like, hey, yeah, they're nice gifts, but my gosh, like
That's when you
sometimes
have
you know that when
money.
you give an expensive gift,
Mhm.
it's kind of like, okay, you're substituting the love for me that you don't really have. And part of me is like, I'm okay with that. Because
if it's a good gift,
if
yeah.
it's a
Here's the
good
thing.
gift, then
if you give me
sometimes I'm
something
like,
really awesome, like heck yeah. My problem is when because you have the money to just blow like that for
Then you
awesome gifts,
expect
but
it
you're
back.
like, well, all you got me was a card, and I'm like, well, screw you.
yes.
Like, don't buy me nothing.
Now I know
next
where
year.
your heart really
That's
is.
when
Yes.
you're getting into comparing
Yeah.
the gifts.
It's like, look, I don't
That's
have
never a good thing.
I don't have the
No.
money to buy you a TV. I had the money to buy you a card.
Agreed.
At least it was a Hallmark, I hope.
No.
You do American Greetings?
Dollar Tree, man.
Dollar Tree. Okay.
They
Dang.
got it all.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, you can
Yeah.
walk out of there and spend $50 and you've got a year's worth of stuff.
What's the most thoughtful gift you've got?
That's a
That's
big
what Kristen
question.
asked.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Man, what about you all? Do you know?
I don't know because I mean I've gotten so many great
See,
gifts. I
see,
can't
that's a
rank
loaded
like
question
them.
because if I say, then it's like, well, the gifts you got me weren't the most thoughtful.
Which is fine.
Or
I
the
don't
gift
care.
my wife got me, if she ain't watching, never mind. But
It wasn't from her.
no, probably
I don't know.
not.
I've gotten a lot of great gifts. I can't really pin it as like the most because I mean Jacob, like you've mentioned, has gotten us like I loved the flask and the little peanut comic strips that he got me. Like I love that.
I was gonna
love
say,
the
like-
coffee shot because that's something I can use and I love coffee.
Yep.
My mom.
You're not
I
getting
guess
coffee this year.
that's okay.
I don't know what I'm getting you all.
I'll be honest with you.
Probably
I
gonna
love
be
the
an-
Amazon gift cards
That's
because
really
you know
what
what?
it's
That's
gonna
what I
be.
tell everybody. I'm just like, get me an Amazon gift card so I can get what I want.
And I love that
Exactly.
because then I get whatever I want.
Well, and I'm probably not supposed to tell this secret, but if Jeff's the only one watching, was that Jeff Morning or Jeff, my brother-in-law?
Jeff Morning.
Oh well, okay. My brother-in-law and my brother Chip, we're getting each other gifts. It's like the guys buy gifts, and the women are buying gifts for themselves. Which it's really just my sister and my sister-in-law.
Okay.
And my sister-in-law just basically texted me the other night and was like, "Here's the dollar amount. Amber and I are buying what we want, and we're just saying it's from the other." And I was like,
Oh.
sounds good. So
Okay.
I think we're going to do that same thing between Chip and Jeff and I.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're just going to buy what we want and say, oh, yeah, Chip got me this, and vice versa. So I'm kind of okay when it comes down to that because it's not like I need a gift from them to know they care about me.
Yeah.
So to me, again, it depends on the relationship.
It's more of the thought, again, because people are like, what's the most thought? But anything I like, because, I mean, my mom, my family, I get stuff like Green Bay related or movie memorabilia related, and I like those things because those are things
I kind of think
like.
it's thoughtful in a different way from everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I don't think I could answer that question, Kristen. I'm sorry.
To me, every gift I get is the most thoughtful gift I've ever received.
Wow.
Oh, full house moment right there. Just knocked him dead. All right, guys.
I need an all button on here. I wish there was something I could.
Aw.
Oh,
You do. I'm mad as hell. Don't do that. He's doing.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore.
I wasn't going to.
Can
but
you
then
all name
told
the
me
movie
not
that's
to.
from? Do y'all even know the movie that's from?
God.
Y'all, so y'all don't know.
Nope. I just like it. I've heard it. I really.
Sean's thinking.
No.
Don't
Go,
know.
Just do it. Go ahead.
Yeah, just
Shit,
name it.
it's Newsroom. I think it's what it's called.
You don't even know.
It's
He doesn't even know. What
oh
movie
no
it's
no no.
from.
I don't know what it's called. Shoot. I think it's called.
We're failing.
It's not breaking
Failing.
news. I forgot. God damn it! I forget. I don't remember what it's from.
You can't handle the truth.
Now that's
Now
a
that's
few
a
good
good
men.
man.
I know that
Yeah,
one.
we know
I know
that one.
all of them
You know, no,
except for that one.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Don't tell me what it is. Just tell me what it starts with when you find it.
It does start with an N.
So it is. It's news.
No,
News
it's not.
something. It is news something.
Nope.
Network.
Yep.
Yep.
The network. I did remember it. Okay.
Never seen it. Never
There's
heard of
another
it.
one
I
called
don't think I've
Breaking
ever seen
News.
it either.
Breaking News is.
Why did you choose that one?
It's a memorable line.
Okay, I've never.
Oh, you've never seen the movie.
Nope.
But
No.
it is.
I've never heard of the movie.
It's a guy that loses his mind because he gets fired. He was like a main anchor, and he goes back in there in a tirade, and they're just like, no, let him have it. And he gets on the air and like just loses.
I think you could have
it.
picked.
Wow.
And it's fantastic.
I think you could have
It's a
picked
good
a more
scene.
memorable movie.
I did. You just did a few good men. There's plenty more on there that are
Right.
memorable.
You're killing me, Smalls.
That's a fantastic.
Why is there nothing
one.
from Titanic on here?
Well, we
There's a
don't.
lot of.
We don't honor JC.
I still really want. It's working.
I know. I'm gonna get there. Maybe that's
we
for
need
300.
we need a bigger deck.
Yeah.
Is what we need.
Yeah.
We'll
Stream
get
Deck.
there. We'll get there. Maybe that'll be for future shows.
I want
Because you know what we
Ghostbusters
did
on
get this
there.
week.
Oh my God. We've got one.
Yeah.
Any of them.
Any of them.
My favorite
Would
still.
someone
Some
ask
of
you-
you are God.
Yeah,
you say yes. Alrighty, guys. That's gonna do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Episode 300 is next week.
Oh my God!
We got some changes coming.
crazy things coming.
But you know what you could
We
always
got
do?
an extra episode coming too.
Oh,
Don't
we
forget about
do. That's right, because we're doing a little something special.
We're gonna show some highlights on the 300th.
We are. The highlights are going to be very special because everybody tuned in for the episode with the Carolina Reaper.
Right.
I mean, I think we should. I mean, because people got pretty hyped about the Carolina Reaper, so maybe we should let them know what thoughts to go down.
We're
so
gonna
they
put
can get-
nuts in our mouth
On live,
on air.
not live.
The
No, yeah.
Gonna
Death
be
Nut
taped.
Challenge, hotter than the Carolina Reaper.
Mhm.
We're going to do the Death Nut Challenge. So
which is a series of like
it's
five nuts.
It's 5 nuts.
Increasingly
They get
hotter.
you eat
Yeah.
one, then the second, then the third, and they get hotter as they go.
And here's the thing: you all are actually going to eat them.
Yes.
You're not spitting them
Well,
out.
we're not going to do them live on the show. We
This
couldn't.
is so you all could recover.
Listen, I would be happy to eat the full Carolina Reaper pepper. I just know that I wouldn't be able to go to work the next day.
Yeah.
True.
I have irritable bowels as it is, so I already know, despite
Hence,
my love of
we're
hot
choosing
stuff.
to do this on a Saturday so that we have,
Time to recover.
we can.
But we are going to air it, or parts of it at least.
What we're going to do
Yeah.
is we're going to film the whole thing.
Mhm.
We're going to show a highlight reel for our 300th episode next week of all the best moments.
Mhm.
Trust me, there's going to be moments you don't want to miss. And then we're going to air the entirety of it after our 300th episode. You can go and watch the entire glory of these two. Yes, these two over here.
Three.
I'm not doing it.
I
You all
almost
are
had
suffering.
I almost had him convinced
I
to
have-
at least lick the first nut.
Oh, you could lick a nut.
Li-
Come on.
it
Lick
comes-
one nut.
there's 3 nuts in each section, so I mean,
It's perfect.
No.
It was made for us.
I'm just telling you, I need to
I need you
comment.
to
I
lick the
need to
first nut.
comment, and I need. What did you say?
I need you to lick the
I
first
need
nut.
you to lick the first nut.
I mean, it is what
That
it
is that's the
you,
quote.
You take the
right
innuendo however you want to take
Best
it.
quote
but it is,
2020.
That would be
Red
the
Moon
name of this
Podcast.
episode. Is I need you to lick the first nut.
That is it right there. I want a shirt that says that. Wow.
Hashtag
was
RM
great.
Podcast.
That would be if we
That
ever
was
get
great.
a online store. We need to have Red Moon
That's
shirts
right.
that says
That has
lick the
memorable
first
quotes.
nut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do. We do need memorable quotes
Yeah.
on our shirts when we start selling
Yep.
them in our store on redmoonproductions.com.
Yep.
Are you not entertained?
Absolutely.
You will be next
There
week.
would definitely be a quote from the masturbation episode where we spent like the first 10 minutes talking about that, and then what else? Come on, there's got to be. These better be in the highlight.
Well, I can't. They were all audio before we were live.
Are you
There,
sure?
there was
No,
like an
no,
entire
no.
audio version where we were talking about like black dildos or something.
I mean,
Oh my God!
I
Are you
don't
sure?
know, man.
No,
Well,
that was a different
not
episode.
that long
That was a
ago,
different
we
podcast.
were just talking about something about what was that? We had like a conversation. I don't even remember.
We just
No,
went
there was
way off
one,
the
There was
rails.
one that Neil really liked, and I can't remember.
and it
Neil,
had something
what
to do
was
with
that?
porn, but I don't remember what it was.
Scrambled porn.
Scrambled porn.
Scrambled
Yes.
porn.
Scrambled
Yeah.
porn.
That was what it was. Well, you don't hear audio in the intro. There's no like intro highlight. There's funny things we've done on the show. That'll be
That's
peppered
true.
in there.
True.
But look, next week, no doubt, just like this last 15 minutes here has been
Yeah,
entertaining.
yeah.
So
No,
you never
we've-
know
we've
what you're going to
gone
get.
Over.
We've gone over, but it's fun.
We're like almost a half hour over, but
You know,
we've been talking about nonsense.
We've been
so.
talking about nuts, and
Nuts.
we're a couple of nuts.
What are we reviewing
so
next week?
We are actually reviewing Fred Claus, and I do not know what our
Our regular
review is. We'll announce
We
that
have
on
failed
Twitter.
you on this one.
We'll announce that on the socials.
But our Christmas review is Fred Claus.
So enjoy that piece of trash, and hear what we have to say about it next week.
Yeah, Ava just dropped on Netflix. I thought there was another new Netflix movie coming
There
out.
is.
There's a couple of new Netflix movies coming out. I know Run's on. Is that Amazon or Hulu?
Hulu.
Okay.
Hulu.
That may be
that was a
one.
big one. So Ava, Run.
Something about metal. What was that one?
Oh, that came out this past week.
We may do
The
that
Sound
one.
of Metal.
We'll figure it out.
The George Clooney. Oh no, that's not till the end of this
Yeah.
month. Okay. never
Well,
mind.
We
we'll
have
figure it
Ma
out.
Rainey's Black Bottom coming up. That's,
That one we are that's
yeah.
Christmas week.
Christmas week. Chadwick Boseman's last film.
Yeah.
That's also being touted as a heavy Oscar contender.
We
we'll
definitely will be
yeah.
reviewing that one. So still got a lot left in our Christmas season here, and of course our 300th episode next week. Tune in for a fantastic, fun, wonderful show,
Yep.
just like every single week here on the Red Moon Podcast. So until next time, we want to thank all of our listeners for watching, and absolutely hit us up on social. Continue to throw comments our way. Email us there at the bottom of your screen, rmpodcast at redmoonproductions.com. I feel like you're about to hit a button. I don't know.
Show me the money.
I've hit almost all the quotes this episode here in the last 10 minutes, so I figured why not go
Why not?
go full on, yeah.
But tune in next week for a fantastic show, live every Tuesday night. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
we'll see you next week. Episode 300!
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.